I'm going to jump right in. In real life, are you two or were you two the type to quickly introduce someone to your family, blood or chosen? Or were you the type to like play close to the chest?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you go.
When I first, Russia's the first real long-term relationship I've been in, and it was in my 30s, so I think it would have been different in my 20s. But yes, I was ready to introduce early, and I think he met my family like 3 months into
Yeah.
dating. They were happened to be visiting town, and I was like, "Do you just want to go have dinner with them?" And I remember being so anxious of like, how will I ever introduce anyone to my family like in my 20s? And then with him, it felt so easy, and then it went so well that it kind of happened at the right time.
It was so easy because I'm a doctor. It's like he's not, it just for Indian parents, it was like not a disaster to be like, here's my Harvard doctor boyfriend. But I would say bringing an actor home is different. And I did take longer than Karan. And my mother is a very intense doctor, and my brother is a very intense doctor. We're a medical family. And then it was like, here's Karan. And they loved him immediately because Karan is so charming. But it took me longer than it took Karan. Part of it is that I wasn't out at the time that I met Karan's parents to my own
Mhm.
family. I hadn't told them.
Okay, I was like to
Yeah.
them
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that
But
would be
to
one way to
them,
like
yeah.
hard launch.
No, Karan knew,
Boyfriend and out.
his parents knew, and so yeah, it's a crazy situation.
Okay, I have to ask about the doctor thing because my
Yeah.
dad is a doctor, my mom is a lawyer.
Really?
I went to film school, so I was like already a disappointment to start. However, you went one like legitimate Asian job. We all know there are like three of them, right? Doctor, engineer,
Yeah,
and like, lawyer, I guess.
whatever. Yeah.
How did they take the news that you were going into the arts?
I don't think there was a lot of excitement at first, but they definitely came around to it, especially when they saw the kinds of things that I was writing and making. When I first got a job to work as a staff writer, my mom actually was part of the reason I did decide to take a year off of residency to write. So she played a huge role in that. When I was a kid, I told everybody I wanted to be a writer, and I wrote a 10-page book in a notebook. She stapled it together and showed it to people and said, "He wrote a
Oh.
book," and they were like, "Are you delusional?" Like, because she seemed to really believe it. But so she was, very supportive, but then also very anxious. But my future immigrant parents obviously are in survival mode. And the last thing you do when you're in survival mode is go into the arts. So it was very natural for her to be more interested in me going into medicine than into anything else. But yeah, I still am in medicine. I still practice.
I have seen you. You're double dipping. So
Yeah,
do they introduce you now as director or doctor?
just doctor. I
That's what I
don't think
thought.
I've
That
ever
tracks.
heard of my mom introduce me as a
that
director. Yeah.
that seems valid. We can look. We
Yeah.
can only expect so much growth out
We're
of our
living in
parents.
a Harvard doctor kind of introduction. That's mainly what we're saying over and over again to multiple. She'll go up to any random Indian and say he's at Harvard Medical School.
Okay. I
Any
mean,
random.
you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
I'm so curious. Do either of you have any cultural traditions that perhaps as a youth you rebelled against or you weren't a fan of that you later grew to appreciate?
Mm.
What a good question.
I think for both of us, I can say that we always grow, at least for me, I always growing up, I didn't want to eat Indian food. I always wanted to eat American food. In India, I was like, I don't want this. I want a ham and cheese sandwich. But then as we've gone older, we crave Indian food more, or like we'll go towards that a little bit more than we did, I think, when we were younger.
Yeah, I would say the exact same thing. Now, I mean,
Yeah.
I had sag yesterday. I had banged it before. I'm just like, all I think about is Indian food. All I want to eat is Indian food. When I was little, to have to go to this cafeteria with like aloo gobi in your like
Mm.
lunch bag was so like lame. And the smells and everybody looking at you and all of that. And now I'm like, well, I would love some aloo gobi at all times. The only thing I don't do is Indian food at lunch because I think that's then your day's over at the end of the day.
It's a
Um,
food. He thinks it's a food coma, and
I
you'll
was just
fall.
gonna say, is this like
Too
a
many
nap-inducing
carbs.
scenario?
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think you can eat Indian food at lunch. And when we were shooting the movie, the producers who were all white were like, "We're gonna get some Indian food trucks," and I was like,
Like,
"Absolutely not."
no.
He refused it. The
I
entire
refuse.
movie there was no Indian food, and everyone was like, "Where's the Indian food?" And he wouldn't allow it because he thought we would all fall asleep.
You don't like eat naan and then deliver the best performance of your life. Like nobody has ever done that. Your brain is not like hyper functioning after like three naans, pillowy, beautiful naans.
I mean, yeah, what does the entire country of India do for their productions? I'm not imagining they're like flying
Oh,
in,
I
like
He's about to say
burgers.
something really controversial, I'm sure.
Well, no, I mean, I actually don't know how they're doing it because those people are so ingenious. They're constantly moving, doing crazy
Yeah.
things. How are they doing that? But I don't think they eat naan as much. Maybe that's the difference. And then maybe they're not eating huge
No,
portions.
they're eating it.
They're eating it?
Yeah.
Yeah, how are they doing that? I don't know. It's a really good question. But the whole like, the whole equator, they're all napping. Everybody who lives on the equator is napping. So maybe it's
Yeah, but
napping.
some of that is also humidity thing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. No, I think that's why. Yeah.
I understand, but I'm curious. What is the first film that you each saw in theaters that you were the impetus for going to go see? Because obviously, like DDLJ is such an important thing in this story.
I wasn't allowed to watch movies or TV shows, so I didn't. The first movie I ever saw was when I was nearing the end of high school, and we saw My Big Fat Greek Wedding. We had seen movies on VHS at home, but never
Sure.
been to the theater. And the first movie we saw in the theaters was My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
I went to the movies every week in India because people loved going to the movies. But I would be the one who would take my family to more American movies because they would love seeing Bollywood. So I remember dragging them to take them to see Finding Nemo. That was like a big one. I was like, this is it. I just know it's gonna be
Good
really
movie.
good. And we watched in a single screen, 3,000 seat theater with all these Indians. Because back when I was growing up, the multiplexes were just coming in as I went to high school. So everything was huge old movie palaces. And the Hollywood movies would only last for 1 week because they'd be pushed out by the local movies. So I remember the weekend the Finding Nemo came out, I was like, we've got to go. And then we did. And
How
then
did people react when they found Nemo?
I think they liked it.
Yeah. Either
Were they
the
ever
audience.
worried that they wouldn't find Nemo?
No, because audiences really react to everything there. They're not like hushed and
Mm.
quiet like they are in America. They dance, they sing, it's like a completely different
But they're
experience.
hushed for Hollywood movies. They don't get
Oh,
as
because it's like
because
white.
it's like more like, you know.
These are fish. They don't have color. I mean, they do, but they're not white fish. My
Yeah.
last one, kind of a therapy one. I only have a minute left, but I'm going to try to get in. How do you define personal success now, and how has that changed from early in your lives?
Oh my God.
This is
Uh,
really, you've
I
walked into something here.
I define personal success as achievement because of the way that I was raised, but I am working to let that go and value the time that I have with Curran as success because that's when I am my most contented.
I try to define personal success now with the relationships I have in my life, whether they're friendships, relationships with my parents, relationship with Roshan, how healthy they are, how good they are. And that's it. And what's great about our job is that we get to meet new people all the time. And often my favorite memory from most movies is the friendships I've made and the amount we've stayed in touch after the job is long over. So.
Are you going to have to continue collaborating in order to constantly reaffirm and like force compliments out of each other for your relationship? Is this like the
Well,
healthiest way
no, I mean,
actually to?
I just am constantly walking around complimenting Curran, but we love working together, and I hope we just do forever just so I can be around him.
Yes, I will happily do it. Although, the next thing he's doing, he doesn't have me in a big part. So, we'll
Yeah,
see what
that's really
happens.
true.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah,
even though
you'll
it
have
just
to take that up at the next family
There you
meeting
go.
tonight. I
Yeah,
don't
there
know.
we go. Yeah.
therapy.
Yeah, right. That is my time. Thank you both so much. Congrats on the film.
Thank
I love it so much.
you.